Shalom and welcome again to another wonderful learning session. We're going to learn Hishtapchut HaNefesh. We've been learning Baruch Hashem. This is our fourth cycle through, and each time it gets deeper and more powerful, and the ideas become more and more available to practice. So we're here on the 10th of Iyar. Last night we counted 24 of Omer was last night. It's also the 28th day of the month of April. And here we're going to make a Hishtapchut and a Kashrut, the tzaddikim, to gain a clear channel. HaNefesh kasher atzmi atzmenu v'limud Torah zeh l'kol tzaddikim hamitim shebedomenu l'kol tzaddikim hamitim shochnei afal kadoshim shebazem ufrad lebeinu kadosh tzaddik yisod l'lam nachal lena mekol chokhmah Rebbe Nachman Nachman Newman's Kusam again l'kol Yisrael. Amen. Please Hashem, may it be your will that this learning should go forward. To the school of this learning should send healing to Chaya Bat Bea, to the Rachel Bat Sarah, Henirata Bet Titaratza, Yosef Ben Genya, Chana Mason's grandmother, and all the people who need healing in Am Yisrael and in the whole world. Also, anyone who needs Yeshuas and Refuas and Yeshuas and all the people who need to be found and rescued from the earthquake, and to give protection and safety for all the people who are working to rescue. And please, Hashem, may be will that such dinim should not have to happen in the world anymore. That we should be zocha to pray to you in such a way and relate to you in such a way that you bring only sweetness into the world. Oh, okay. Here we are. We're just finished. We're just in section 59 of Hishtapchut HaNefesh, and it starts like this. The main prayer of talking to Hashem, of having a intimate, close friend relationship with your Creator. The main time for making yourself alone with your Creator is at night. Sha'az hakol yisheni, that's when everybody's sleeping. V'gam she'ya makom michutz le'ir, and also the main ibodedut should be in a place that's outside the city. She'elech b'derech echidi, that you're a place where you can go and you're absolutely by yourself. Dahayim mikom she'en b'nei hadam holchim sham afilu bayom, meaning to say a place that is empty of consciousness noise. That a place the ideal place is at nighttime when it's totally quiet, people are sleeping, the consciousness level is down, people's thought energy is down. It's a place that's by yourself, and a place ideally that people don't even go there during the day, because that is the clearest channels you're going to get for your communication. And through this particular type of Hitbodedut. Now remember, when I say this, when Rebbe Nachman says this, and we're going to get to that, Rebbe Nachman is going to point this out, we're not talking that this is the ideal, this is the only way, this is the ideal way, this is the way you're going to get the most results. This is the way you're going to feel the relationship with your Creator the most deeply. And anybody who's done this, Baruch Hashem, myself included, I can vouch for that. It is the deepest, best way to do it. But it doesn't mean that if you can't do it, you shouldn't let that be an excuse not to. Okay? So we're saying that this is the ideal. And so when a person does achieve this ideal of going in the night, in a place where there's nobody there, in a place where there's nobody that goes there during the day. So when a person does this, and therefore, and he cleanses his heart. Now, remember, we're talking about, again, ideal Hitbodedut. Part of Hitbodedut is certainly asking Hashem to take care of your daily physical needs and all the dealings that you have with the world, that Hashem should see his way clear to giving you success and giving you good advice and clarity and how to achieve all what you want to achieve. But it is not the main Hitbodedut. The main Hitbodedut, as we've seen, is talking to Hashem and asking him to bring you close to his service. So therefore, when a person goes out in the forest, out in the fields, out someplace far away in the middle of the night, and he's by himself, and he clears his heart from all the dealings of this world, and he nullifies himself in all of the aspects of this world, until he becomes nullified in his own ego, and until his relationship is he's not coming to Hashem because of his own wants, as far as physical and his human needs. Right? That's where when a person nullifies from all that place. That means to say, so in the beginning he prays a lot. So what does it mean? It doesn't mean that you suddenly come to that. So I'm going to be nullified. Right? It's not something that we can do. We can have the idea, it's a nice idea, but it's not something that it's going to be within our grasp to just decide to do. What he's saying is that we start praying. You go out to the forest, you go out to the field, and you start saying, talking to Hashem, Hashem, I've got attachment to the outcome of this particular thing, that it has to be this, and I'm very makpid. I tend to be very exacting on myself and on other people, and I'm begging you, Hashem, that's all because of me and what I think and my control trip. And I'm asking you, please, first of all, what we learned from another place that we want to do is acknowledge Hashem as the creator of that before we ask Him to change it, because we have to remember, everybody loves it, and Hashem is going to heal me, Hashem is going to send me the salvation. But we forget to recognize that Hashem is the one who's creating this whole human experience. And Hashem is the one who created me with whatever unpleasant or unrefined character trait is going on. So therefore, we're speaking about this a lot. And for those of you who are not familiar, we have in the healing world, in my approach in healing, which I combine the Hibodedut with body work. So I designed a whole little structure called the Lulav technique, based on one of the chapters we're going to get to in here. And it's a way to go through this process of taking a midah, taking a feeling, a character trait, an emotion, and praying a lot, learning to talk to Hashem in all the different aspects about this character trait, and asking Hashem to refine this character trait and to nullify the negative aspects of this character trait after we've acknowledged Him as the creator of it, right? And so until this particular unrefined character trait becomes nullified. And then to pray more. Now we're talking about, yes, one time to keep praying a lot in the one time you're out, but we're also talking about day after day. We're talking about that each time you go out to the place in the middle of the night, or even again, not necessarily in the middle of the night, or not necessarily out by yourself, but again, we're talking ideally how you're going to see the quickest, most effective results in becoming a more refined, higher awareness person. And then afterwards you pray a lot more. Until you get to the place where your ego is completely nullified, where you no longer have any attachments to the outcome about how you think it should be, and you'll have total peace and total clarity of Hashem's presence as the creator, perfect creator for the good of everything that's going on. To the point where a person has no pride and no sense of self. And by the way, I must add to this because, again, being involved in healing, we live in a time when everybody's very damaged. And a person cannot nullify, if a person already is having trouble with sensing that they're okay, that, I'm a good person, a worthy person, God loves me, that type of thing. You cannot do this nullification until you know that you're fine. You must know that Hashem created you, each one of us, perfectly with an exact combination of refined character traits and unrefined character traits according to each person's soul's ultimate tikkun, his rectification. So it's very important to know that you can't do this nullification if you haven't given yourself a good, healthy sense of self. So that's ideally in a healthy world, where when children are raised by healthy parents, then the children develop their identity as children and as teenagers. But we, in our time, everything's really upside down, and we developed partial identity. We developed identity, and then we developed our defense identity. How we stop ourselves from feeling the fears that maybe we're no good. Okay, so it has to be that you really have clarity that you are fine, that you are perfect with Hashem, that He made you exactly this way to give you the opportunity to do this process of going through this world and experiencing your different aspects of your tikkun. So that's very important. But once we have that good sense of self, then we develop the sense of self in order to be able to surrender it. And so this process of how to surrender it is what we're talking about here in this aspect of Hishtapchut. So when a person gets to the point where they have no more ga'ava, no more ego, no more sense of self, mamash, until he sees himself as like God's cartoon. The cartoon character doesn't have any attachments. Obviously, you turn off the animation, the cartoon character is gone. Right? So we want to get to ourselves that we have such a clear sense of all I am is the projection of God's will. And that's the only thing I am, in that place. And so through a person applying these ideas and continuing this process of asking over and over again, working on one trait at a time, until a person can merit to come to an aspect of complete nullification, which is a very deep, high level. And then even in the Havdil, even in the Eastern religions talk about the idea of this self-nullification and reaching the state of absolute bliss and transcendence and oneness with everything. They got that from us. But see, we have a paradox. It's not just that. What we do is we learn to nullify ourselves, and then we go about in the world as ourself with an awareness that the only reason I'm doing this is because this is what my Creator wants, not because I want to do. There's a big difference between I want to do and I'm doing because that's what my Creator wants me to do. And as we said, in this process, a person becomes absolutely included and subsumed. His soul his root becomes subsumed in the absolute beautiful unity of Hashem's infinite self, as it were. And now this is called, Hashem is called the mandatory existence. Right? Hashem is it has to be that there's Hashem. Right? So that's called Mechuyav HaMetzius, the mandatory existence. Kiyadu, as is known by people who have studied these types of things, and especially Rebbe Nachman's works himself. He talks about this. And through this process, a person brings into the unified inclusion all the different universes and consciousnesses and amazing different multi-billion, trillion aspects of whatever is attached to your particular soul. And see, that's going to be part of our wonder and our joy and our bliss in the world to come, is when we get a chance to see what was really, how amazing I was, how amazing you were, with all the different universes that are attached to your soul. So when a person achieves this level of nullification, he actually brings everything that's attached to his soul and his consciousness. He brings it into the inclusiveness of this absolute unity. And again, that unity, that is the manifestation of Hashem's simple unity, and it's called the mandatory existence. Now it says there's a Mishnah in Pirkei Avot, in the Ethics of the Fathers, and it says like this: Haneor balayla v'amalech b'derech yichidi u'mafne libol mikol iskei olam hazeh levatala. Harei zeh ha'adam is chayav b'nafsho. Okay. Now what looked like the meaning of this was the one who is up at night and goes in a solitary place and turns away his heart. That person is chayav in his nefesh, which usually means he's supposed to die. Okay, so you thought, this is saying something not good. A person who goes off by himself in the middle of the night, he's not supposed to do that. He's putting himself in danger. He's putting himself in a dangerous place, a place where there's nobody around, and so therefore he should be. He's actually, since he's putting himself in the danger of his life, he really doesn't deserve to live. That's the simple meaning of this Mishnah. Okay? However, so when we look at things as a paradox, and that's Rebbe Nachman, he doesn't say the word. I don't know if he had the word paradox in his time. I think Einstein created the word paradox, if I'm not mistaken. So Rebbe Nachman shows us how to look at the Torah always from the two different perspectives of the paradox. On the one hand, if a person is in his ego, and he's attached into the forces of nature, and he puts himself into the place of solitude where it's dangerous, where the forces of nature have access to him, then he really deserves what he's going to get. However, we're talking about now, so what does Rebbe Nachman do with this? Hane'or balayla, we're talking about the one who gets up for Bodedut in the middle of the night. And he goes out, like Rebbe Nachman said, that the ideal place is a place where nobody goes even during the day. That's what that means. He goes out in the place of solitude. When he says that he clears his heart from this world, he clears his heart from all the different trials and tribulations and human interactions and business and money and all the different things that a person has to worry about in this world. And as we said, why is this? To become to the place of true nullification. True nullification, and we said that that's the inclusion in the unity. And what's the unity? The unity is above nature. The unity is not subjected to the forces of nature. Because Hashem, the unity, is above nature. Hashem creates nature. Hashem creates the forces of nature. And it turns out that I've seen, coming again, as I've said many times, coming from the West, this idea was a little bit hard for me at first to be able to, because in the West, coming from the West, we're taught to have an ego. We're taught you're supposed to be successful. You're taught you're supposed to do better than everybody else and trumpet your successes, be famous, right? And here we're being told that no, we're supposed to actually find a way to nullify our awareness of ourselves. Okay, now that doesn't mean sometimes a person is tikkun, he has to be well known and famous. But that person who is doing that, he knows, he watches Hashem creating him because that's what Hashem wants, not because he's attached to whether people put him up and say, please sing me a song or tell me a story or whatever people like to have famous people do for them that makes them feel good. That type of person can be in front of other people because he has nullified himself and he has no attachment. But most of us, it's very, very dangerous, Rebbe Nachman says, to be famous, and it pulls us into the constricted consciousness of being attached to ourselves and the forces of nature. But once a person gets above that, once a person gets aware of the absolute unity of Hashem's creation, and that this whole physical existence is somehow a virtual reality, like as if it were, it just seems real to us, but it's not. I've experienced this, and others have told me that also that they've watched and seen how the forces of nature can fall away when a person has this level of awareness. So that's what he's saying here. So that he comes to the aspect of total bittul, total nullification. And that's what he says, the Mishnah, levatala. This is for nothing. That's what we thought it meant. But it means, he gets to the point where he himself is experiencing his sense of his own nothingness compared to Hashem's absolute existence. That's what it says, mischayev benafsho, means that he becomes part of this mandatory existence. Right? That's what he's saying. Mischayev, like we said before, mechiyuv hametzius. He becomes part of the absolute existence, the mandatory existence that is Hashem's unity. And that's what it says, benafsho, with his soul. And when he says benafsho, that nefesh specifically didn't say nishmaso, his neshama, but rather his nefesh. And the nefesh is the part that has all the other attachments to it. The nefesh has all the different worlds and universes and angelic beings and consciousness and whatever else is associated with that person's tikkun. So that's it when it says benafsho, with his soul, with all the worlds and all the universes that are everything that he's responsible for, or that's associated with his soul. He brings all those things into the aspect of the unity, into the aspect of the mandatory existence. So now he goes on, and it says, and look in the book of Rebbe Nachman's letters, Alim L'Trufa. Nachman's there in chapter, in letter 113, starts to talk about, he brings for his son, and Rebbe Nachman's letters are mostly to his son Yitzchak, but also he writes to his son Shachna and some other people, to his chavrusa, his friend Rav Naftali, and he's always full of words of encouragement of how to follow Rebbe Nachman's advice and to continue to push on, even though sometimes it's challenging. So he writes there, and he brings a little review of this concept of Rebbe Nachman's teaching in Likutei Moharan 52 about the person who wakes up in the middle of the night and goes to do Bodedut. And he says there, like this: Heichan anachnu ba'olam. Where are we in the world? Shezachinu lishmoa kazos. How can it be? Look where we are in the world, that we merited to hear this idea. V'adayin mitoira so anu rechokim. And even though we heard such depth and such amazing things, we're still so far from really the depth of what Rebbe Nachman is. Vani tzoek b'libi, Rebbe Nachman says, and I scream out with my heart. Ata ala yamim shavru, because when I hear a teaching like this, I call out Hashem to the days that passed that I wasn't aware of these things. That how many years, because I didn't know about it, and because of all the obstacles that are there in order to know these things. He says, how many years did I go that I didn't merit to go out to a place at the middle of the night by myself where nobody goes, to be able to empty my heart and cry out to Hashem like this. But nevertheless, what does it say? Avalani, and this is important for all of us. Again, people, oh no, I got to go out to the forest. I got to go out to a place where nobody's there. I never do that. How can I do that? I live far from the forest. I don't have any way to get there at night. I don't get up very well at night. How can I do this? Oh no, I must not be able to be a very good student of Rebbe Nachman. No, that's ridiculous. That's the Yitzhak. No matter what, like Rebbe Nachman says here, Avalani mesameach atzmi. I make myself happy. I give myself joy. What? Al hama'at tema'at shezachisi levamim lekayim mat mizeh. The fact that a little bit, once in a while, I was actually able to fulfill even a little bit from this. Maybe I went out. I woke up at night, and I didn't go to the forest, but I stayed in my room. But I was in the middle of the night. Or maybe I went to the forest during the day and found a place where people don't go. Whatever it is, or maybe none of that, but just the fact that I wanted to, and I yearned for it. Hashem, please, I wish I could go out to the forest in the middle of the night, or out to the fields. Right? That little bit, he says, that gives me joy. And I make myself, and you have to let yourself, joy is a choice. Right? So we can hear that Yetzer Hara telling us, oh, you're no good because you didn't go do it the exact perfect way. Or you can say, wow, the fact that I even wanted to do this is an amazing thing. And it gives me pleasure that I wanted to do this. And Rav Nachman goes on, like we're saying here, and even a person, like the fact that you merited to talk to Hashem, even if it was during the day and not the most ideal, even the fact that you talk to Hashem, that you want a relationship with your Creator, is yakar me'od me'od, very, very precious. Because not everybody can do this. Not everybody has the ability to get up in the middle of the night and to go to a place where there's nobody found. Not everybody can do this completely. And happy is the person that merits to do his bodedus even a little bit, even during the day. But doubly happy is the person who merits to go according to and fulfill this advice of getting up in the middle of the night, etc. Until the person merits to be amongst the concept of bechiyuv mitzius, like mandatory existence, that's what he's here for. He did it. He made his soul. He brought himself to the level of it was a good thing that you were created, right? Mandatory existence. This is what existence is for. And with that, to raise up the entire world that's connected and associated with his soul. To be subsumed in Hashem's unity, which he is the mandatory existence. And Rebbe Nachman finishes, may it be that my portion should be with those people who achieve such things like that. And there was a time that Rebbe Nachman was speaking about this particular idea of this holy way of getting up in the middle of the night. According to what Rebbe Nachman revealed to him. And he said in this language, Od Yezman, there will come a time. This way of going out in the middle of the night, alone, in a place where nobody goes, will become not so unusual. It will become a trodden trail for many people to be able to do. He says, just like now, everybody who's even the least little bit tries to be observant, everybody puts on talis and tefillin in the morning, and that's a well-trodden path. And he says, so he says, there will come a time. Rebbe Nachman actually, this is a reflection of what Rebbe Nachman told him. There will come a time when doing Yibodidut is the normal thing to do. And also, now he talks about, now you know what? What about, how many people, how many of you, and me, when I first started doing this, go out in the middle of the forest, middle of the night, nobody's there, and you know what? It's scary. It's scary. The very first time I did this, I didn't go that far in the forest. I found that I went a little bit in the forest. I brought with me a flashlight. I found a little place, a chair that was actually somebody else had obviously there, sat down, and I started to talk to Hashem, and suddenly I heard a branch rustle or something. Well, who's that? Turning on my light. What's that? Well, it's scary. So what did I do? Did I stop going out? I could have, right? It's scary. Or we can talk to Hashem about it. Hashem, you're the one who creates me, you create feel. Oh, and if you're really the one who's running the world, then what am I afraid of? What am I afraid of? I'm sure, I know I've talked about this probably a few times already, but now that we're talking about it inside, so we'll mention it again. And that is, I asked Hashem, I said, Hashem, what is it? First of all, when you're talking to Hashem, you always have to tell him the truth. You have to tell him, Hashem, I'm scared. And I wish I trusted you, but the fact that I'm scared means I don't completely trust that you're taking care of me here. So Hashem, I want to come close to you. I want to trust you. So I'm asking you to please, one, forgive me for whatever it is, for always acknowledging. First, one, for being, it's amazing that you created this constricted human experience of being scared. Wow. But for me, Hashem, I don't want to be this way. And I know that there's this rule that you made that we get what we deserve and we get less than we deserve. And so if I'm scared now, maybe I deserve it. Maybe my trust in you got broken because maybe I broke my trust with you somehow, either in this incarnation or previous incarnation. So Hashem, I'm asking you, please forgive me, whatever it is that I did in this or previous incarnation that made me have broken trust, that I'm scared now. And then it's also good to pray for others. And Hashem, maybe other people are like this. So please heal the fear so we trust you and can come out to do this amazing service of talking to you like Rebbe Nachman would want us to. And then in the end, it's always good to finish with some gratitude about, thank you, Hashem, for allowing me to pray. Thank you for hearing my prayer. Thank you for answering my prayer. Thank you for giving me the rectification of going through and trying to rebuild my broken trust in you. And then see what happens. So for me, I talked to Hashem. I said, "What am I afraid of? Well, I'm afraid of being attacked by a wild animal." So I realized, what if that was my tikkun? If I knew I don't want it, but what if that was my perfect tikkun? I would say, "Oh, okay. If that's I don't really want it, but if that's what's needed for my perfect tikkun, I guess So thank you, right? So and if I was in a place of awareness and knowing that, what do we all care? This body. This physical existence is not me. It's just this is the roller coaster car that my neshama my soul is taking a crazy ride in this world, all of us are going to die. So yes, we want to stay in this world a little longer. It's a nice world. There's good things to do here. We all want to live our lives, but at the same time, when we think about it, this world, we're taught that it's like a 15-minute dream. So whatever we're here at 60, 70, 80, 120 years, but really, in the end, once we finish with this existence and we leave this physical body, and we see who we really are, and we get back in touch with the real-time, Hashem's real-time existence, and not this virtual reality existence, we're going to see it was like a 15-minute dream this whole life. So what's the difference between 80 years and 60 years and 80 years, another 20 years within 15 minutes? What's that? 3 minutes? You're like, what do we care? So going through that process, I realized that, wait a minute, so what am I scared of? If I believe that this body isn't me, and the body's getting eaten by a wild animal, lo aleinu, what am I going to do? If I'm in the real awareness, I'm going to go, wow, Hashem, look what you created, an experience of getting eaten by a wild animal. Wow, that's amazing. And then I'd be in a place. That's what Rabbi Akiva did with Shema Yisrael. He said, I'm waiting. Rabbi Akiva died with the Romans flaying his skin off his flesh, his skin off his bones, alive, with burning rakes, and he says, I was waiting my whole life to be able to say, wow, Hashem, how cool you are that you created this human condition. This is what Rabbi Akiva did. So this is how we want to come to it. You think this is beyond you? It's only beyond you if you don't have the patience and practice and perseverance to pray. Just pray. All you have to do is ask for it, and it will come in its time. What, you think Rebbe Nachman would give such an amazing piece of advice, and then it would be too hard to not impossible to accomplish? Do you think so? Look what he says here about the fears. Rebbe Nachman said, "She'im hayalo ben yachid, if he had an only son, hayam mishalcho yechidi b'layla lasadeh, he would send them out by himself at night to the field, v'lo hayachoshesh l'shum davar, and he wouldn't worry about anything." And he said, Rebbe Nachman said this pertaining to every single person. She'en lo lefchod klal, because you don't have to be afraid at all. There's a principle in Torah that a person who's going forth to do mitzvah, he's in the process of doing mitzvah, they have a certain protection. Moreno Rav Nachman Zechel Tzadik Racha Hosif ledaber b'zeva amar al zeh. Rav Nachman added to this and said, as it says in the Zohar, Linyan Halichas Kalev Lechevron, Nishtateach Al Kivrei Avos, about when the spies were coming to Eretz Yisrael, the 12 spies, and Kalev ben Yefuneh was one of the two that didn't give the evil report, but gave the report of hope, and that he went to Hebron, to the gate, to the Machpelah, to the grave of Avraham and Yitzchak and Yaakov and Sarah and Rivka and Leah, and he went there to spread himself forth and to surrender to Hashem in the merit of the tzaddikim of the forefathers. Ve'ech lo yareh meha'anakim shayu sham. He did eat bodedut. He prayed to Hashem for protection, and therefore he wasn't afraid of the giants. V'katav sham Zohar Chodesh, and this is what the Zohar says there. Man di'ihu b'dachka la mistakel mideh kach kalev. A person who's in a stressful situation, don't look at it so much. Like Kalev, begin to have a b'dachka la mistakel mideh b'asel et sala'a al kivrei avahan. He didn't worry about it. The fact that there was a stressful situation. He felt threatened. He felt in danger. He didn't pay attention to that, but rather he went and he prayed, and he threw himself on Hashem's mercy in the merit of the avos, in the merit of the tzaddikim that are buried there. V'chein be'inyan hazeh, and similarly with our subject, kol mi sheyodeh v'chashev esatzmo hetev. Everyone, you know what? Everyone who really pays attention to who am I, what's my quality, how much of a tzaddik am I? I'm sorry, this is a little different thing. I thought he was going to say something else. He said, but to look at yourself, like what we're just talking about, who am I? What's this life? How long is it really? What is it? Is it such a terrible thing? We're all going to die. The day is past. They fly by. And we're going to all leave this world, and we're going to stand in front of we're going to be in our movie theater, and they're going to play the movie of our entire life, every moment, and we're going to have to give an accounting for every moment, and it's going to be really tough, but that's part of the process of experiencing tough. Okay, we're going to have to watch that and feel the embarrassment. Wow, I was so caught up in my own ego. I didn't realize it was all you, Hashem, and that you were doing for the good. So we're all going to have to do that. We're all going to have to go in front of the heavenly court, in front of the all-seeing, all-knowing. And there's not going to be anything that they're going to miss. They're going to talk to us about each and everything that we went through, every second of our lives. It's an amazing. That's why it takes a year, I guess, or 12 to 11 months, because you got to go through all the videos. They do it probably in high speed. You pass through 50, 60, 70, 100 years in about the type of 11 months. So it's probably a high speed video. And since we're not trapped in this body, we have high speed brains, and we can all do this in a much faster amount of time. That's also the compassion of Hashem. Okay, but they're not going to. But we got to go through everything. A person who pays attention and recognizes and doesn't let himself forget that this is the truth. That person is not going to let fears get in the way of doing what's necessary to make our tikkun, to do what we're here to do. And even all the more so when you don't have to be afraid at all, because again, a person who's really going out, who's doing a mitzvah, will be protected. And that is a matter, how much protection you'll have is totally a matter of how much faith you have. If you really believe in this, you'll be more protected. If you're afraid, everybody knows, they talk about this in the world, that we attract to ourselves if we're afraid of something, God forbid, we attract that to ourselves. So, why? Because Hashem said it that way, because He says, okay, if you're going to be afraid of this, I'm going to bring it to you, show you what it is, so that way you can get your healing from this and recognize, oh, I survived that. So on the one hand, again, that not only, He says, the people who are doing mitzvahs have a protection, and on top of that, there's nothing to be afraid of, because we all have to leave this, go through this world, and then come up before the divine court and give a judgment, give a accounting of our lives. So the only reason we're afraid is because that's what we were taught by our world. That's the only. Can you imagine what would happen if little children were taught, "Hey, we're here for a while to have a roller coaster ride. It's kind of a game, but it's a serious game. And the main reason we're here is to get the experience of like what it's like to not be able to just fly and not be able to just experience pleasure all the time." And if a child learned this, and a child learned that Hashem is kind and gives us lots of different experiences, some of them pleasurable and some of them painful, and the painful ones are partly to fix us and partly so we can appreciate Hashem's what He wants us to give us forever. If a child learned that, they wouldn't be afraid. If they get hurt, they'd cry about being hurt, but they wouldn't be crying from being afraid of being hurt. Right? And it would be a very different thing. Let's go on. And also in this on this subject, Rav Nassan told over a story from the Baal Shem Tov. One time, the Baal Shem Tov was praying with his holy convocation, with his friends, with his group. And they were praying with tremendous fervor, which was their normal way for praying. Afterwards, when they finished praying, they saw that he was really displeased with something, extremely displeased with something. And then he spoke up and told them, הכניס הבעל דבר בכל אחד מכם מחשבות של גאוס ורמוס רוחה בזה שאתם מספעלים ומסלבוס דבקוס בזה. He says, while you were praying, the forces of evil injected into your consciousness thoughts of pride and high opinion of self. Because why? Oh, look at me, I'm praying with such fervor. I'm praying with such intensity. Look at me, look how wonderful I am. And that's why the Baal Shem Tov was disturbed. And the Baal Shem Tov said, you know what? Because of this, because that you're all actually tzaddikim, and this was, for an average person like me, like, all right, so what? So I'm, I'm a schlepper, so I get thoughts of pridefulness. Look how great I'm davening. So, all right, so I hopefully catch myself and let go of that, realize that I'm, who am I? I'm nothing. But these guys, these were big tzaddikim, right? So for them, a big tzaddik, what's a big tzaddik? Somebody who has tremendous nullification, tremendous awareness that it's all Hashem, tremendous awareness that the only reason I'm able to pray with fervor is because that's what Hashem's giving me to do. right? So because they were on such a high level, the fact that they had such pridefulness in their prayer aroused an accusation on high against them. Vaya liligia, and Rebbe the Baal Shem Tov says, Vaya liligia gdola ad shehimtakti zois. And it was very hard for me. I had to really, really work hard in order to sweeten this judgment that was upon you because of this. V'siper zos leman das kam v'kam atzrichin laharvos betfila l'nasel megeus. And Rebbe Nachman told this story over to impress upon us how important it is and how necessary to keep praying over and over and over to be saved from pridefulness. Shehi to'avas Hashem, because it's an abomination before Hashem. Why is that? What is an abomination? An abomination means something that absolutely hides Hashem's presence. It is so contrary to the way Hashem set up the world that would enable a revelation of Hashem. It causes the absolute opposite. It causes the most deep darkness and hiding of Hashem. So why does pridefulness do that? Because we know, we see it ourselves. Any person who comes along and takes credit for his own intelligence, for his own success, etc., that person makes people look at him as, oh wow, you're the one who I want to be attached to. And they don't think, everybody who sees that doesn't think, oh, it's only because of Hashem, because the person's taking credit. I did this. I worked hard. I was the one who fought the battles. I was the one who overcame my limitations to become the great speaker that I am. I was the one, and everybody else says, oh, I'm the one, and that means I'm the one. And there's truth to that Hashem wants us to experience, that have experience of I'm the one, I have free choice. But it is not the highest truth. The highest truth is that it's all Hashem. And so therefore, that's why pridefulness is an abomination. Because it can be that even a person who's already cleaned himself and herself from all the negative urges and all the negative character traits and unrefined character traits, it can be possible that the person can have hidden pridefulness even though he's already cleared. He could be like, oh, look at me, how great I am, that I have no desire to eat, that I have no desire for sexuality, that I have no desire for honor, that I have no desire for money. Look how great I am. And he may not even realize that he has that going on inside of him. It can be totally hidden. And this is also Rebbe Nachman in Likutei Moharan 52, that is the source of this, the whole discussion. He discusses this idea there as well. Therefore, because of this desire to uproot and to nullify our ego, to nullify our pridefulness, we have to keep trying to do Hitbodedut, especially to go out to the forest, to the fields by ourselves at night, and to truly empty our hearts from this world, and learn how to learn how to talk to Hashem in such a way that it elicits this self-nullification. And that this is a very important thing to try to accomplish in our lifetimes. And to scream out to Hashem in this place until a person becomes truly nullified. He doesn't have pridefulness. He doesn't have a sense of his own self-existence, his ego. And through this, until the point where person merits to come and bring all of the entire worlds that are attached to his soul into the ultimate unification, into Hashem's infinite unity, which is the mandatory existence. So how do we do it? So right now we start. Hashem, please, I just learned about the importance of going out by myself in the forest, in the middle of the night, in the fields, a place where nobody is. Please, Hashem, may it be your will that you should bring me to this, because I have no idea how I'm going to do it. But you know how to bring this. You know how to bring about everything. You can do whatever you want. So please, the Rebbe Nachman says it's so important. I'm begging you, I'm yearning. And the more we let ourselves yearn. So how do you get yourself to yearn for this? Well, you have to let yourself tell yourself a story, and that story is what we just learned. What if you told yourself the story that going out to the forest at night, in the fields at night by yourself, was the most important thing you could accomplish in your lifetime, and if you don't accomplish it, what a chaval! You're going to feel like you wasted your life. If you did that, now get that again. We don't want to get depressed. We don't want to get, but for a short period of time, to take yourself and let yourself feel that pain, Hashem. If I don't get to do this, what's going to be? And to yearn from that place, that's the most powerful prayer. That's the prayer that's going to end up being answered, and you'll see yourself somehow brought out with the possibility of going out to the forest late at night in a place and you would never have imagined it. That's how this works. You have to just constantly yearn and pray and yearn to pray and pray to yearn. And then when a person does this, it's mamish the most amazing thing. So take a moment right now, and just wherever you are, and do at least a silent stream of yearning. Please, Hashem, bring me to the place of this ideal level He supposedly is before you, so that I can experience what Rebbe Nachman says I'm supposed to, the nullification of myself and the ability to be subsumed in your absolute unity, in the aspect of mandatory existence. And then yearn for that, and scream for that. And like please, Hashem, bring me to the place where I can go out in the forest, in the fields, by myself in the middle of the night, and talk to you and nullify myself before you, and be included in the unity of your infinite existence. Right? And we learned last time. We had the importance of how amazing, powerful it is to hold the yearning as a silent scream and then to express it in words. So we did that. Okay, let's do Samach since it's very short. 60. Balayla, at nighttime, as ikar as man shel isbarer the first six livnei Hashem isbarach and spoke the bob kamayim nochach pnei Hashem. It's the main times we've been saying to pour your heart out before Hashem, like to spill His heart like water before Hashem. U'lechapes haruach tov, and to look for the good spirit. Hainu ekudos tovos sheyesh bo adayim. So now we're going to go and we're going to add to. So what else do you want to do? So now you're going out in your forest, and you're already out there. And let's say you went through a whole cycle of yearning of asking Hashem to refine your mere character traits and to nullify them one after another. What else do you want to do? It says, look for your good points. The good points that you have. And to clarify them out from amongst these negative traits. How do you do that? By speaking them to Hashem. Hashem, Hashem, the fact that I wanted to come before you, the fact that I got up, it's really great. I'm so grateful. I'm so great. Look at Hashem. Look at my heart. You know my heart. You know how much I want to come close to you. You know that deep inside of me, I yearn to do all the things you want me to do. Hashem, that is my good point. That's Hashem. The fact that I yearn to try to be a better person. That's a good point, Hashem. I'm so glad that you gave me these good points. Please, Hashem, may it be your will that I should illuminate my good points and they should come burn brighter before you to serve you with them. And to value yizkel simcha ulachniah medameh, and you'll merit joy and the ability to push down your what's called the koach medameh, the imagination, but it's how the Yetzer Hara gets us. It's how their evil inclination pulls us away from awareness of Hashem. Shemisham kol hatavos, and that place is where all the urges for physicality originate. And then through this process of mentioning your good points, you merit memory. What? To be able to remember all the time that, wait a minute, this world is just a transitory, temporary place, and the next world is really the key place where all is perfect and all is happy, and where all is manifesting the greatness of Hashem and His goodness. And why are we here? The purpose we're here, and the ultimate end of what we're going to go through, and to transition into the world to come. And through this awareness, we come to full, complete tshuva. We'll continue Bezrat Hashem next time.